Rika Rocks 2001 here, making another video. Yes, you're looking at two Xbox 360 game consoles. They are both mine. Well, one of them's going to be my dad's soon, and the other, well, I'm keeping because, well, let's just say, this guy is going to be upgrading to an Xbox One at some point. Of course, some of you may be saying, why aren't you going to upgrade to the Series S or the Series X? They're both expensive. They're not worth it. I'll wait till the price drops on both of those systems, and then I'll go after a Series S or X. But for now, I'll stick with the 360 and the One. Now the bottom is the older design. This is a Jasper model, while the one on the top is the slim 250 gigabyte model. There are also matte versions of this console. That's the 4 gigabyte. This one right here is a Elite Jasper model. I bought this on Marketplace Facebook. It didn't come with a hard drive, so I installed a 320. I ordered a 120 originally, but then I upgraded to a 320. The 120 is going to go to my friend who has a E model, and he's going to get the upgraded stuff. So he'll have 124 gigabytes. Plus he wants to play some original Xbox games on his 360, so he's going to get that hard drive for his system. But other than that, maybe I'll do a comparison between that in a future video. Actually, wait, I did a comparison between the Slim and the E. So, if you want to see a comparison between the Jasper and the E, maybe in the future, unless he wants the 250, and I'll get the E model back. We'll see what happens. But in the meantime, this is what you get. On the original outgoing models, you have physical buttons for the eject and power. While on the Slim models, you got touch sensitive. The sync button is next to the USB ports on the Slim model. The older models, it's this one right here. It's red on some consoles. I know the Halo 3 edition, the sync button was red. In fact, I think the Halo 3 edition is the best looking one, but reliability, the Jasper one's the way to go. Right here you have your two USB ports on the front. The little spring on this one's missing. Maybe I'll find a replacement cover and find one with this spring, or it broke, I don't know. When I got this, it was like that to begin with. Both of them have the 4 rings around the system, although they're more noticeable on the older outgoing models. Both of them light up green when you power on. If it has the red ring of death, which is more common on the older models, you would have 3 rings right here, here, and here. If it's 2 rings, it's an AV thing. If it's just 1 ring, maybe an AC adapter thing, or all 4, I don't know. I never had the AC adapter, but I've seen the AC adapter red ring of death problem. But I have seen problems with the AV and hardware problems. This one also has memory card slots, which, why would you want to use memory cards? Unless, well, back in the day, I can understand like GameCube, PlayStation 1 and 2, stuff like that. Xbox 360, before they started coming out with hard drives, I can understand, but these days, get a hard drive or USB thumb drives. This one does not have the memory cards, so it's not a big deal. It may be to you. If it is, get the Jasper model. If it isn't, then get a Slim or E. Now, hard drive. I'm going to flip over to this side. On the older Xbox 360 Jasper, or any of the older model 360s, the hard drive was external. You would have to press this button, and this is a third-party one, so it's kind of difficult. Hang on. Here we go. Oh. And I gotta warn you, sometimes it'll cling onto your plastic on the sides. Well, this is just lovely. A few of the tabs were broken off, so normally this would pop off and you would be able to easily get access to it. Oh, I almost have it. Hang on a moment. Wow, that took the jaws of life to pry off, but this is my second attempt making this part. But for once it pays off because I was able to get this off. I gotta warn you, this thing clings onto the plastic like you wouldn't believe. You need the jaws of life to take off this third-party hard drive. So I gotta warn you, unless you're willing to use the jaws of life to pry it off or upgrade and stuff like that, you want to be careful. This thing is hard to pry off. But unlike the official Xbox 360 hard drive, it's much easier. And compared to this one, this is a 250 gig. Maybe I'll get a 500 gig for this guy. Maybe I won't. I don't know. But as you can see, this one has more storage than this one, but this one can get up to 500. This one, well, the official one goes up to 320, but I think you can get a 500 gig as well. So let's go ahead and get this guy back on. So if I pry it off again, it's going to be a hassle, but for the slim one, it'll be much easier. And if you stand this vertically, then the hard drive will be on the bottom for the slim, but on the top will be fat. There we go. Now let's go ahead and look at the back side. Here's where things get completely different. Notice something about this 360 that wouldn't be there normally? Well, I'll get to that in a moment, because on this one, it's different. This is a Wi-Fi adapter that does not come with the system. Back in 2005 up until the slim model came out, you actually had to purchase this separately, and it wasn't very cheap. It was like $50 if I remember correctly. While PlayStation 3 had Wi-Fi built in. Same with the Nintendo Wii. The Wii actually uses Wi-Fi. I mean, think about it. A Nintendo Wii having Wi-Fi while the 360 does not. That's just ludicrous, don't you think? I'm not saying the Wii shouldn't have Wi-Fi. I'm just saying it's funny that Microsoft didn't include it until the Slim model, while Nintendo and Sony have been doing it since they brought out the system. So, at least with the Slim model, they had this integrated into the system, although it is removable, so I give them kudos for that. In case the card goes bad, you can remove it and take one from another 360 Slim or E model, and then you're good to go. So if anything positive came out of that, actually wait, I think the Wi-Fi chip on all of them are removable. But that's another story for another time. Both of them have the same AV multi-out, although all Slim models have HDMI and all E models have HDMI. Though the E model for the AV is different. It's more like a headphone jack sort of adapter. This one has optical out on the system itself, while the older models, you had to use the component cable that has it on that. But at least those gave you the option for optical surround sound for stereos. So the E model, you actually had to improvise and make a long adapter for that. I haven't tried it, and I'm not sure if it's worth it or not, so you'll have to try on your own risk. To use Connect on this one, on the Slim, it's easy. You got this aux connector right there, and that's what it's used for. The older model, you actually had to plug in through the USB port and use an external AC adapter, like using a Sega 32X or Sega CD on a Genesis, or a Jaguar CD on a Atari Jaguar. I know those are bad examples, but those are the only ones I can think of. The AC adapter on both of them is different. The original outgoing Elite and older models used a big power supply, although there's an advantage for that. The Slim one uses a smaller one, and there's a disadvantage to that. I'll get into those in a moment. In fact, let me show you the AC adapters that come with the consoles. We'll start with the original Jasper, or the older fat model. This one uses this big adapter that uses an input of 100 volts to 127 volts, while the output is 150 watts, which is 12 volts. This is the AC adapter that's used for the older model Xbox 360. As you can see, this is what the adapter looks like. Although earlier variations would have, this would be a metal design. I think the plastic design is better. It's less likely to get cut out from time to time. You plug this into the back of your Fat 360 and it will work. Don't forget to pay attention to the color right here. If it's green, it's good. If it's orange or red, you may have problems, you may not, I don't know. But maybe I'll do a troubleshooting video on the 360, stay tuned for that. And then here's the Slim AC adapter, although this one also has an LED right there. From time to time, this one has a fan which will collect dust, so getting access to that, you actually have to remove these rubber feet, remove those 4 screws, and clean out the fan. But other than that, this one takes a lot less power than this one. Although this one does not have a fan, this one does. So chances are this one is less likely to fail, while the slim one, getting a clogged fan may end up making it fail. I don't know. I haven't had a problem with either of these two systems, so I can't really answer that question. But for boot times, that's where part 2 of the video will come in. So other than that, with the 360 controllers, I need to mention with the symbol. I don't have a black controller that came with the system. It came with a wired controller that my friend Face Doom Guy has. It was a Joytech controller that I've shown in the previous video. And instead I have this one. So, but the point is, normally the Xbox 360 logo on older fat consoles would be a gray color, while on the newer slim ones, which this one I didn't get with this console either, but this is what it would look like. The 360 logo is more glossy and silver instead of dull, if you know what I mean. But other than that, both of them have the same bad directional pad. If you want a good 360 controller, get the one with the rotating directional pad, which I do have. It's a Modern Warfare 3 controller. In fact, I actually have it with me right now. Let me go grab it. These are my favorite kind of controllers because you can actually rotate the directional pad, and this actually feels a lot like a Genesis directional pad. Well, to me it does. Most people say this controller is still bad, but this feels nicer to the thumb. So get this piece in your controller, even if you have to modify it or not, or get this controller itself. The thumbsticks are iffy. I actually prefer the texture of the older style thumbsticks. So yeah, these thumbsticks feel nicer. These ones, they're okay, but maybe I might modify and put Xbox One sticks in there. I don't know. If I find a broken Xbox One controller, or if I find loose sticks for a good deal, I might do that. So, in conclusion, if you're after an Xbox 360, actually let me flip the systems and show the front side again, just to make this a fair comparison. So let's go ahead and flip these two systems in the front and actually show off the front as well. So here we go. So in conclusion, which model 360 should you get? Well, either of them will do the same principles, but I need to mention a few things. If you want to use Connect and want to use it through the least number of power adapters and stuff, the Slim is the way to go. But if you don't mind having all those wires and stuff, then the fat one's the one to go for. But if you're gonna basically don't mind the fact that it doesn't come with Wi-Fi, or you don't mind the size, or you want something that looks coolish, then the older models are the way to go. Although I need to mention, look for a Jasper model. You want to look at the back of the serial information, and if it's a Jasper model, go for it. But if it's a Falcon or one of the other models, avoid it unless you know what you're expecting, or you have a Jasper and you want to buy it so you can do a case swap. You want to avoid the Falcon, and you want to avoid the Trinity and the Kronos. Those are the ones to avoid if you're after a fat one. For Slim, you're safe. They're going to work. Same with the E model. They're going to work. That's all I have to say here. This is Rico Rock 1001 signing off.